Looking back on our sports card collecting career, I think we could all find a handful of cards that changed our lives just a little bit. Happy hobby, I'm David Gonos, and if you're a sports card collector and you're working with a limited budget, that's what we do here in this video series and this YouTube channel and this podcast series. That's what we do with the Happy Hobby sports cards. We try to help those that are trying to improve their card collection without spending too much money. Today, though, we're talking about 5 cards that changed my life. Now, sports card collectors know that these little pieces of cardboard can evoke some emotions, some memories, some feelings that can make us really happy now and in the future. So I shared 5 cards that changed my life for the better, but I'm curious as to which 5 cards changed your life. I want to know. Either send me something at gonoscards@gmail.com or post a comment in this YouTube video series here. So let's talk about the 5 cards that changed my life. Collecting sports cards has always been fun. Ever since, way back in my early childhood, I always liked collecting cards. Seeing the players on TV, holding their cards in my hand, especially if they involved games that I was watching with my dad, that's a big deal. Collecting cards as a kid is certainly different from back then as collecting cards now as an adult. But revealing a cool card as you're going through them, revealing a cool card, or in some cases a card you didn't even know existed, that's just timeless, man. That's a timeless feeling right there. That's pretty awesome. So I want to share these 5 cards as the ones that changed my life the most. As you see which cards I've chosen, they might remind you of cards that changed your life too. So I do want to hear about those. Now, the order of these cards that I'm about to share, they're listed chronologically from the time that they actually affected my life. Not necessarily when those cards were produced or when they were originally gotten or whatever, but these are the cards of when they actually affected me. So the first card that affected me, I was 5 years old, little chubby towhead. Actually, I wasn't chubby when I was 5. I was slim pickings right then. 5 years old, living in central upstate New York, Canastota. Know of it? Mastering sandlot baseball. Oh, yeah. Pulling ponytails. Wondering why my Sesame Street peeps would even hang out with a guy named Oscar the Grouch. Literally, his name says he doesn't want to talk to anybody today. He's a big jerk. Why do you talk to him all the time? Who cares what he counts, what he can do with math? Well, my brothers pulled this 1976 Topps Babe Ruth all-time All-Stars card. It got placed into our conjoined baseball card collection without a lot of fanfare. Wasn't that big of a deal to them. But for years after, I couldn't believe that we actually got ourselves a Babe Ruth card. Now, I knew of this legend pretty well. I was a kid growing up in upstate New York with a Yankees fan as a father. We visited Cooperstown. It was just down the road. I knew of Babe Ruth. And here we have one of his cards, black and white. That was amazing. That was a pretty big deal. Now, I didn't really understand the value or why a set would produce a card 30 plus years after that player played. But I just knew it was a gorgeous card with an awesome design centered around the greatest slugger to ever live. It's just such a great photo, too, with the follow through on the swing, like he's taking a couple rips in the on-deck circle. It's a pretty cool card. Pretty cool. Now, my favorite number was 3 because of Babe Ruth. That's the number I wore in all my Little League teams, number 3. And that actually held on throughout my adult life when I was a big fan of Evan Longoria. So I stayed a Yankees fan through my New York life, which was up till I was about 9 years old. And the buzz of excitement still goes through my hands when I pull a throwback card of the Big Bambino. It's a big deal to me. A candy bar was named after this fella. Kinda, sorta, a little bit. But what more does a 5-year-old need to know than that, right? Now, I did, if you want to check back in our previous videos and podcasts, I did break down the 1976 Topps All-Time All-Star subset previously. So you want to check that out. But the Babe Ruth card was the card that officially got me hooked into collecting cards. Now, the second card on my list, 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card, number 57, PSA 6. Oh, very specific, this guy. In 2012, I bought Michael Jordan's rookie card in a PSA 6 slab for $600 because I had money to spare. That's really what it comes down to. I didn't have a family at the time, and I was not good at picking stocks. I did not pick stocks correctly. I learned at that point, I was like, I should start storing my savings in cardboard relics of the great players from my youth. Like, I knew that these players were amazing. They were GOATs. They were the best. So, of course, the value of their cards would go up. So we're talking about like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Charles Barkley, Jerry Rice, Magic Johnson, and a Larry Bird card. The Dan Marino rookie card. Now, my baseball cards were solid, but in 2012, I thought it was time to up my game in the other major sports. So that's why I bought up all those cards in that 2012, 2013 time period. I didn't really know much about grading either at that point. So I was just guessing. I was like, well, if a PSA 6 is $600, then in a few years, that means people will still want a PSA 6. So hopefully it'll be more. I didn't really understand the huge differences between grades, or else I would have, instead of buying all of those cards, I could have bought a better Jordan rookie card. So I didn't understand that then. And a lot of card grading back then, people didn't really know it that much. I was buying cards off of eBay, and I'm just thankful I didn't get like, some random fly-by-night graded card of MJ. So anyways, fast forward to May of 2020. Now, this was a few months into my marriage and a couple months into the pandemic. So I'd watched the Last Dance documentary with great enthusiasm because it was basically all about my childhood, man. My childhood in my early 20s. So a week or two after that documentary ended, I found out that Michael Jordan rookie cards were blowing up, selling for big money on eBay. And I wasn't really back into card collecting yet. I just held on to those cards from that time period. I hadn't done much collecting. I hadn't added to my collection over 5 years, really. And we were about to buy a house. We were preparing to buy a new home. So getting some extra money sounded kind of good. So that's what I did. I sold that MJ rookie card in the spring of 2020 for $2,800. So nearly 5 times what I paid for it just 8 years previous. So my wife and I were super ecstatic that it helped fund our move into our new home. So that was a big deal. Well, that card now sells for about $4,500. And while I don't really regret the sale for that reason, that it's worth that much now, because I probably wouldn't sell it right now, but I do regret it a little knowing that here I became a card content creator not too long after I sold that card. And I could have had that card to talk about. That would have been fun. I don't know. Just one of those things. Now, I will likely get another one of these cards at some point, but maybe it's not going to be in a PSA 6. And maybe it's not going to be for another 10 years, because justifying spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a card, I don't know. I'm not that guy. I'm a card collector working with a limited budget, so you know how that goes. The number 3 card that changed my life. 2003 Fleer, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, the trio rookie card, number 300, and a PSA 10. Now, I joined the CBS Sports crew in South Florida in 2003, about 5 months before these 3 players were drafted into the NBA. So, like January of 2023, I joined, or 2003, I joined CBS Sports. Now, as a Syracuse Orangemen fan, because my family's from Syracuse, I grew up in upstate New York. I was still riding the high from their 2003 national championship that Carmelo Anthony led them to, and I wanted to get my hands on anything that was Carmelo Anthony. This guy, a one and done at Syracuse, and we won a title, and he was going to the NBA. He's going to be a top pick. I wanted anything I could do with Carmelo Anthony. I was a big fan. So that's why I wanted a card with Carmelo. Well, I want a card with LeBron because LeBron James was the most hyped high school player since Lou Alcindor. And he was the most hyped number 1 NBA draft pick since Shaquille O'Neal in 1992. So that's why I wanted Carmelo and LeBron. Dwayne Wade was a top 5 pick for the Miami Heat, making him a sought-after card in the area that I just moved to in South Florida. So everyone was talking about Dwayne Wade of the Miami Heat. So I wanted to get a card with him on it, especially after he hit the league like a hurricane. He was something crazy. So here is this card with Carmelo, LeBron, Wade, all on one card, mimicking the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Julius Erving card from 1980. That was an amazing card. And the three panel card, just like this card. Now I honestly can't remember if I pulled this card or not. I wish I could remember it, or I wish I for some reason I want to say that I spent $20 on it at a local card shop. I don't remember if that's the case, but I want to say that was how I got it. Just the card, not the slab. But I know I was mad that it had Dwayne Wade on it and not Darko Milicic, who was the second overall pick for the Detroit Pistons. He was right between LeBron and Melo. I'm happy now I didn't get Darko. But at the time, I was mad that I didn't have Darko. In my very first grading submission with PSA, which I sent in March 2021, I submitted this card along with 4 others I believed were in the $200 to $1,000 value cap. So since I paid $50 per card for the fee to get those graded, that put them in the express grading lane at PSA. I got an email in July saying they'd have to charge me an additional amount. I think it was another $150. Like maybe they charged me $200 to get it graded because this trio rookie card had gemmed and it was a PSA 10. So that pushed it over that $1,000 threshold at the time. Now PSA had shut down at that point. We're not taking any more submissions. So the fact that I was going to get this back and I was going to get it back, I mean, I was super excited. Excitedly, I looked up the recent sales to find out that card was selling consistently for about $5,000. A PSA 10 of that card. And there was a single high sale point of $13,000 for that card. This was before it got back to me from PSA. So I was going nuts. I was super happy. Now, I never sold the card. Not after and during the sting of the Michael Jordan rookie card and that value climbing after I sold it. But a copy of this card now in a PSA 10 sold for about $1,100 in early July of 2025. So you see, like it went from it's going to be over $1,000, then I got charged the $200, and then it was a $5,000 card, and then went up to $13,000, and now it's an $1,100 card. I'm certainly sad because I should have sold it way back then. But I owned a card that was once $13,000, so that's pretty awesome. It did change my life because it sort of undid the MJ sale a little bit for me. That was nice. The next card, 2021 Topps Joey Votto, the Reverence Patch Auto, numbered to 10. Now, the pandemic was still rocking in the summer of 2021, but my wife Shelby and I, we went to New York for a fantasy football draft as I represented The Athletic as a fantasy writer. While we were there, along with Nando DeFino, I bought some cards at Monacy Comics card store in Manhattan. If you haven't checked that out, by the way, check it out. Cool store, awesome owner, really nice guy. So I bought a jumbo pack. Some of the stuff that I bought, one of them was a jumbo pack of 2021 Topps Series 2, and I pulled my first relic. Not just a relic, but my first auto. Not just an auto, but a Joey Votto, likely future Hall of Famer, if you ask me, Reverence Auto Patch, numbered to 10. Numbered 7 out of 10. In the 4 years since that rip, I've probably opened over $5,000, maybe that might be conservative, of Topps flagship products. I've yet to pull another Reverence Patch Auto. And I've never pulled a card with a lower print run than numbered to 10. But guess who became a big Joey Votto fan? So it was also about this time that I decided to lean into becoming a sports card content creator with my columns on The Athletic and doing videos on YouTube. This was really the time period when that started for me. That was a big deal. I wanted to know more about this hobby, specifically how different it had become since I was pulling cards out of junk wax packs 30 years before. So the number 5 card that changed my life, 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, number 1. Now, I don't mean that's changing my life for the way it might change somebody else's life. I don't mean when I pulled it in 1989 that it changed my life. But this is a landmark card for many reasons. But for me, it wasn't until January 12th, 2023, when I wrote a piece for The Athletic detailing the 9 things you didn't know about the Ken Griffey Jr. 1989 Upper Deck rookie card. So I wrote that piece, and it was really successful on The Athletic. It did really well. And I then created a video about the card, and it became one of my all-time most watched videos ever with over 15,000 views. Check it out. You're going to want to check it out. I'm a little thinner, a little less hairy, still ugly. Still got the ugly going on, but it's just a different version of me. But you want to check that out. So at this point, here's why it changed my life. I started to realize that at this point, I was sick of creating content for other people. I was sick of it. Why am I writing columns for The Athletic? I started, I did leave The Athletic right around that period. And I contributed a piece every now and then, even now. So I still, every now and then, I'll talk to the editor there, and I might have some ideas. They ask me for stuff. But I really just concentrate on content for myself now, for my YouTube channel, for davidgonos.com, where you can find articles like this on there. I have one on there for 9 amazing things about the 1980 Topps Rickey Henderson rookie card that you didn't know about. So you can check that out. I did my newsletter. I do my podcast, like all these things. I just started creating content for my own properties, and I'm much happier this way. Yes, I don't make the money that I did when they were paying me for those articles, but I realized I was doing it more for fun anyways. So I do it this way, and it's content that goes on my stuff. I can control it. I can use it any which way. I can put a link to my video up here and blah, blah, blah. So it's safe to say the kids' rookie card, along with all these other cards I mentioned, they helped change my life in different ways. So again, I want to know which cards changed your life, hopefully for better. I don't know if I want to hear one about, well, I stole this card out of a card store and I got sent to prison. That's how I don't want to hear that story. We don't want those ones. But I want to hear the other ones. So send me a comment or send me an email at gonoscards@gmail.com, or drop a comment in the video on YouTube and let me know. I want to know which cards changed your life. And I also, just so you know, I want to know, are you having a happy hobby? Because if you're watching videos and listening to podcasts about sports card collectors working with a limited budget, I feel like you are. So just continue to do that. Continue having a happy hobby.